Alright, hey everybody, hope you're all having a great day so far. Let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to take a little break from Lizard Tamer and work on a small project just to kind of recreate a cool 2D lighting effect I found online, which I'll get to that in a second. For now, let's tweak Unity just a bit. Because I just created this project just a couple minutes ago, and we want to be able to set this, so I'll go 240, 480. It's a good, the game will probably be pixel art, so this is usually a good scale. Okay, that's probably fine for now. Another thing that's usually good to do is go to the editor and make sure we want to force text. Okay, so that was on by default, so it looks like we're good. But what I want to do is, there's this really cool game called Celeste that's made by actually the same people that did Towerfall. If you want to check it out, I guess I should plug it since I'm using one of their development blogs as my inspiration, but it's called celestegame.com, so go take a look if you're interested. But I wanted to kind of recreate this effect where they have these 2D lights and that they're clipped by the platforms. Like you can see here that the lights don't go through the platforms, and that's actually, and like here the platform actually casts a shadow, and that's actually a little difficult to do. And how they do it is by, for each light you basically create a texture, and then the different platforms will like cut out certain parts of the light, and then you can blend the light, all the lights together, so you can have a whole bunch in one scene by putting them into the different red, green, and blue channels of the image. And see here they have, I don't know, what's this, 12, and then looks like 5 more, so like 17 lights all on one image. And so we're going to try and recreate that, something like this. And it'll be interesting because I haven't really done much with render textures and shaders in Unity, so it'll be some nice practice, and it's quite a bit different than my Pokemon game, so I think we'll just switch between the two of them as I need a break. Okay, let's get started here. I'll just create some folders to start getting organized. Okay, let's just call this main test. And then I guess, well, first let's create a little scene here. So I wonder, just make an art. So basically here we can see, yeah, so probably like these spikes, like I wonder how they did it in their game, but I bet that every platform has like an actual like visual that's actually displayed to the player, and then like an associated shadow texture. So I think we'll kind of do something like that. I guess I should start up my I think I already have it. Yeah, so I'll start up my spriting program, and we'll just create some simple player sprite. Yellow is always good. So let's go with a simple circle for now. We can come back and make something that looks better if we want. Actually looks a lot like my Ludum Dare entry, but that's okay. And we want to navigate to the new game. Okay, so player. I always try to name sprites that format so that if we add more different player sprites or more to this idle frame, we don't have to go and rename a whole bunch of them in the scene. Okay, and then let's make just a simple platform. How about 28 by 32? And I'll just pick this dark red. Okay, so this will be platform visible. And then we'll want to have... oh, what happened there? Oops, I accidentally saved over what I just did. That's okay. So we want to have this platform mask, which will be what we'll actually draw the light with. And okay, so let's go back to the visible. And yeah, let's add a little bit to this, I guess. Just so that it's obvious that they're different. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, let's just have a little border. Oh, it looks really ugly, but let's... I guess it should be green because it'll be like grass. We'll have a little border here. Okay. And last but not least, we'll need the light picture. Okay, so let's make it kind of big. 128. I'll just do a plain circle for now. It looks like I got all of it. And then I wonder, it'd be nice if I could have a small cutout border. So I hope I could get this. Oh, well that did work, but I actually wanted it to be invisible. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, okay, that's not even actually. Oh, that looks bad. One, two, 1, 2. Yeah, that looks better. And this will just be light. Oh, I want it to be a PNG actually. Okay, so let's get rid of this. And now for all these, let's put it to 32 pixels per unit, point, import mode, and no compression. And then we can just put these on the scene. This camera. Yeah, we got to fiddle with the orthographic to make it actually pixel perfect. One other thing you need to do is Unity's default sprite material is not pixel perfect, so you can sometimes get anti-aliasing, which is not really what you want. So I want to move that out here. And all you have to do to change that is just go in here and select the sprites default, and then just click on pixel snap. And now if you add that here, you can't really tell a difference, but I think, actually let's see if we can get it to look different. You can see that even though that invisible line is 1 pixel wide, it's still always visible no matter where we move the sprite. But I think if we change this to sprite's default, Okay, it's actually not too bad. Maybe they fixed it since I last worked with it. Okay, this seems a little small. I wonder, did I do this correctly? So if I want the thing to be 480 pixels tall. Okay, well I guess this is correct. 480 divided by 32 is 15, so then you want the projection size to be half that. So it just looks small to me, but I think it is actually fine. Okay, oh, here you can see that the sprite, well maybe you can't on stream, but I can definitely see some pixels wiggling around and disappearing. I don't know, I think if I put it to pixel perfect sprites, it should stay better. Yeah, and it does definitely to me. I don't know if you guys can see that on stream, but... Okay, so one other thing I want to do is change this to just be a solid color, and let's well, that won't work because we want to be able to see the light on it. So let's just change it to a dark black for now. Or a neutral gray, that's fine. Maybe... Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, so now if we press play, nothing will happen. There's no physics or anything, obviously. And no colliders. But I guess there's not really any reason. Yeah, let's not worry about the physics yet because I've done that before, and because my main goal is to make the player actually be a light, so we can move around a light and make sure everything works fine in runtime. But for now, let's just get everything working with a stationary light, and maybe we should actually create some like lantern-looking thing. I guess for now I'll just have... Well, I don't want it to be yellow because that's the color of the player, so let's just pick this default orange. Maybe we can cut out a little circle in the middle. I think this a little too small still to me. Okay, and it is centered. I don't really know how good this looks, but it will do. So let's just call this lantern. Okay, and I wish there was a way you could set these values to something, to some default in Unity, but I don't think there's ever a way, so every time you want to import new art, you have to go in and set everything yourself. I thought it would be about the same size as the player. Was the player only... Player was only 16, I guess. Oh yeah, so actually... Let's shrink it. Oh, that looks bad, doesn't it? Should be able to fix it pretty quickly. Oh, I see. I had the symmetry axis wrong. Okay, so it's not symmetric. Wait, I'm getting confused. Is it not 16 by 16? Okay, this... Wait, so this is only 3 pixels wide, that's what's confusing me. Okay, let's turn this off. Oh gosh, I messed this all up, didn't I? Let's just try this one more time. Okay, so now I can actually see where the middle is. That's interesting that a sprite lets you snap to the middle of a pixel. I'm not sure how useful that would actually be. Okay, that looks better. The player should actually be quite a bit larger, but I won't worry about it now because we need to add feet and everything later on anyway. Okay, so what we'll do is this lantern will be the middle of the light. And actually we can kind of see what it would look like if we didn't try to do the cutout. You can see it shows behind this line right there, which is what we don't want to happen because we want the light basically to be cut out here. Let's actually move this a little farther. So it should shine, and like there should also be a line here, or I guess it'd be more like that where the pixels wouldn't show. I think this platform, let's make the invisible lines a little thicker so it's more pronounced when there's a problem. I guess I could do symmetry here as well. Go all the way across. Okay, so now we can see a lot easier what's going on. But, alright, so if you've ever worked with render textures in Unity, basically how it works is you can set a layer here and we can tell this one camera to only draw what's in the actual sprites layer, and then we'll have another camera that's set to draw I don't know, a light mask layer or whatever we call it, and that camera will actually be creating the textures that we'll use later in the shader to cut out this part of the light. At least that's how I envision everything going. So let's go add those layers right now. One thing about Unity is that you can only have 32 layers, and it's actually a little less because there's some reserved for the system. And also it uses the same layers for physics collision, which is a little annoying. That could, well, this game won't be focused on physics, but oops, I actually accidentally got rid of that window. But a lot of times I like to have a specific platform layer that way characters can know if they're touching a platform collider. And in order to have, we'd have to like combine the platform layer with the sprites render layer because there's no way to like assign two layers to one object. But yeah, that's down the road, so let's not worry about physics right now. So I guess I'll just have visible and let's call it cut out constructor. Okay, so if I have these, this is called this test light. So if I change this camera to the culling mask, so first we set it to nothing and then we set it to only visible. So now we'll only draw objects that are tagged visible. And so I can add these in by setting their layer to visible. And again, the test light is not, like it's still there, we can see it in the scene view, but it's not in the game view unless I set it also to visible. which I'm not sure if I want to do that right now. Oh, I guess I should, because it's like we're trying to test the actual range of the light. Alright, so now I think we can get to the fun part. Let's clean up the scene, and let's have like one parent object for all visible objects, just to keep things clean. And then this will be the visible camera. I guess, should I put that there as well? Okay, now I want to create something else. This will be cut out constructor. And we'll want to create a new camera, which I think I could do like that. And this camera, actually, it won't actually be drawing to the screen, so we'll turn it off for now. We'll want to just have a solid color, and we'll want to make the color black. Culling mask, it will only draw cutout constructor objects, projection, orthographic. Okay, well for now let's just have the light texture, since we only going to have one light. To have things as simple as possible, we'll also make the light texture be the same size as the game screen, so I'll set this to 7.5. We won't need these things either. Okay, so now I want to create a rendered texture. I usually just create these in code instead of assigning one to the object in the assets. Which, can you even do that? Oh, right here, I was missing it. So this will be light mask. And the size, again, will be the same size as the screen, so 640 by 480. Yeah, we don't want any anti-aliasing. That looks... Well, actually, we'll want to only encode to one, or down to one channel, but I guess we'll just leave that for now. We might be able to change the depth buffer, but I'm not going to mess with that for now. Change it to point. Okay, and we can sign that here. And now, the interesting thing is that even if we enable this camera, it won't actually draw on the screen because it's set to draw to this texture. So let's see, if I did this, I wonder if I press play, if the camera preview will actually show us what's in the texture or not. Okay, it looks like not. Just to see if I set up everything. Okay. Oh, actually, that's interesting, because when I set the culling mask to visible, it still doesn't draw anything. Why is that? Okay, it shouldn't be the depth. This depth affects which camera is drawn first, which it's obviously drawing over our other camera because it has it's just all black. I don't think the background is affecting anything. If I turn this off, nope. So if I turn both off, it should go to blue. Oh yes, there's no rendering. Okay, I'm a little surprised. Oh, it's because this is at -10? That shouldn't have anything to do with it. Huh. Oh, that's because I have the texture on it right now. Okay, I'm a little surprised. I'm not sure why with this camera it's not just drawing the same thing because... Oh, maybe it was because it was at the wrong distance. Okay, I read that wrong. Alright. And that's just because of this clipping plane, and because the sprites were at the same Z as the camera. Even if it's orthographic, they can't be too close to the camera. I guess that's just a little bit left over from the 3D base of Unity. But now if I enable this, everything should work fine. If I set it to 0, yeah, so it'll draw the black camera on top of the other camera even though they're both the same. And if I put the light mask back in here, it still shows, it shows us what's inside that render texture, which is just what we expect. I wish you could get this a little bigger, but I don't think there's any way. Okay, so now, yeah, we don't want visible. Okay, so actually, I just realized the platforms actually will just have their mask texture as a child under here. So I don't really need, or will they actually? Yeah, I don't, now that I think about it, because we need to extend the mask as a line out from the center of the light, so we don't actually need just this platform mask. Because what I was thinking is that the platform would just have the mask texture under it, and so of course for our cutout camera now we see the platform right there, and if it moves, that would also move in the constructor. But the thing is, we won't actually just use this mask. We'll need to generate some kind of just simple mesh. Okay, so it looks like we'll need to get into some scripting now. Or, well, we'll obviously need to do that in the future because we want the platforms to block the light, so the light shouldn't appear under it. But maybe for now, we can just do something simple where the camera will just cut out this part of the light and just test that for now, because that's really the main idea that I want to try to implement. Okay, so we'll turn this off. And I think the main idea is that every frame will basically call camera.render, which will render the scene to this render texture, and then we'll have a shader that will draw the mask to the red channel of the image. And then from there, we can apply that as a mask for the test light. Now, I know Unity has a, like, it has a masking system. I'm not sure if I can use it. Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like it doesn't work for, like, it uses the alpha channel, so there's no way to have it use the, like a specific color channel. So it won't work for our uses because we're going to have a lot of lights probably. Okay, so yeah, this isn't... I thought when I put the mask on the light that it would... Alright, well, it doesn't matter. We don't really care about the Unity implementation. We can't use it. Obviously I need to read up on that for later though. Okay, so let's start. Let's have a system object that will hold some of the game-wide scripts. I need to create one before anything will show up there. So have a C# script, and this will just be this is called the cut out renderer. That's fine for now. And then while I'm here, I might as well create the shader. So it'll be a standard. I'm not sure which one we'll want, but I'll just use surface shader and we can edit it. Probably won't want a surface shader now that I think about it. Okay, so this will be, we'll just make it simple, render to red. Now they should show up here. Yeah, we don't want a surface shader, we'll actually want something a lot simpler. I'll need to look up the syntax, it's been a while. But yeah, we're not ready to do that just yet. Okay, so I need to work with namespaces, so let's start with that. This will be cut out lights. Do anything. I'm just trying to make a prototype here, so if we want to turn this into a real game later, we can worry about making it cleaner. So yeah, we can just use a simple mono behavior. Okay, and on update, I guess we'll want to have a reference to the camera. And mono behavior has a default camera and we want to override it, so that's why I put that new keyword there. And so the camera base, we can just call camera render. And that's really all we have to do to get the camera to create the render texture for us. So let's just do that and see if there's any problems. Unfortunately there's not sure if there's any way I can see this texture without making some type of model. But I guess if we just take away the render texture, we'll see exactly what we're going to get to the output texture. Oh, we can look right there. So that should be fine. Okay, so let me look real quick to see. We want to render to red channel. See if I can get. I know how to do it, but I don't remember exactly the forum. I mean, the syntax. So I'm gonna look it up real quick. Because Unity's like really pushing their new surface shader, which does make things simple, but it's a little overkill for what I'm trying to do. Look back through some of my old games. I think I have a shader somewhere in there that we can use. Damn it. Come on. Oh, that's annoying. I thought showing up here. Alright, well, maybe there's another template. Let's do. Okay, yeah, this is what I wanted because it's not a surface shader. Okay, so the main texture is just. Well, it's the render texture from the camera. So, is that right? I think there's a way I can send camera render with a shader. Yeah, okay, yeah, there's a render with shader. Okay, yeah, so that should be fine. So what I want to do here is actually call a render with shader. And it takes shader and replacement tag. What's that? Replacement tag. Replacement tag is empty, then all objects on the scene are rendered with a given replacement shader. If replacement tag is not empty... Okay, the camera renders the scene as it normally would if objects use their materials, but the actual shader that ends up being used is changed. Oh, I see. So that's only if you wanted to replace certain objects with a shader. Basically what we want to do is, well, let's try this. I'm not sure if it will work how I envision. Because what we really want to do is if we see a white pixel on the screen, we just want to set red to 1. So we'll actually use this test shader, so I'll go ahead and delete the old one. Copy the name because I'm too lazy to type it out again. Alright, so what we really need to do here. Now, if you've never seen shaders, it does look a little complicated, but it's not really too bad. We just want to sample the texture, which means we basically get the color from a specific texture, which will be the main texture, which is basically the render texture from the camera. And fix 4 is basically a color. Don't need fog, so we'll just want to return. Let's see, how do you do this? Well, if it's white, everything will be 1. So return fixed 4 color red 0 0 0. Yeah, because basically this will work now, but like when we want to combine multiple things onto the same texture, we'd want to also not overwrite what's already there. And we'll have to look into that. I'm not sure exactly how that would work. And like I said, a lot of this I haven't ever done in Unity, so this project will have me needing to look up stuff every once in a while. Okay, we don't need any of this fog stuff. I guess a real quick explanation of the shader. So up here are basically values that the shader can be passed from Unity, or if you've ever worked with materials, kind of like I did here for the sprite, all of this are basically properties you can define in the header. And then the sub-shader is what actually does the work. This just lets Unity know like what kind of shader it is. It's opaque, and then the load order. And then here is where the actual code is. Now this just tells the shader, basically it needs two functions, a vertex function and a fragment function. And so here it tells you that the vertex function is vert, and then obviously fragment function is frag. And the vertex function takes every vertex of a mesh, and it basically transforms a vertex into a position on the screen, or in our case it'll be on the render texture. And then the fragment takes every pixel and tries to figure out what color that pixel will be. And so that's why here we wanted to return the red, and then 000, meaning that it'll just be it'll be red if this color was white, otherwise actually it just copies the red, but we'll only have white and black, I think, in the on the screen. And so here you don't really need to worry about it. It's just basically again, I don't want fog. It transforms every vertex from Unity space into texture space, and Unity has these useful functions that you can use basically for any shader. So I hope that helps a little bit. Oh, and then here these are just structures which you can define that just tells the system where to put certain values, like the position and then this texture coordinate. And then here is vertex to fragment, it just wants to store the same information basically. This is a screen value position, I think is what SV stands for. So now if I... Where is that shader? Right here. So I wonder if it'll work right away. I guess there's not really any way to actually see the output. Alright, so I need to have a way to test the output. So I need to... I didn't need to save it, but... I need to create just a simple mesh. I hope I can do this right. So I'm going to just create a flat texture that we can apply the render texture to and see what's being applied to it in real time. For now I'll set the alpha to 1 just so that we'll be able to see the texture when I actually apply it to this. So we'll create a new game object in Unity, and we'll want to give it a mesh renderer and also a mesh filter. I think filter is what we're going to need to keep track of. Well, actually both, because we'll need to set the material and the renderer. And then we'll just do new mesh and set filter shared mesh to this mesh, and I think it'll automatically update to the renderer. Hey Iceboy, how you doing tonight? Thanks for stopping by. so now I need to create the mesh. We'll just want 4 points. So let's see, where should I put it on the screen? Maybe over in this corner, so I'll do -7.5. I'll start on the top just to make things easy. So new vector 3. So 7.5. Yeah, I won't position this here actually. We can change the position of the actual game object. Oh yeah, I know, ads. Oh, it's no problem, Ice Boy. I was just saying thanks for coming by, and how are you doing tonight? So I guess the real question is, how big do I want the texture to be? Let's I guess I'll just do it for 3 for now. And -3, so this will be the top. Oops. Top right. Oh wait, yeah, I'm doing it backwards. That's horizontal, this is vertical. Okay, now we can go back around. And the other thing you need for a mesh is actually tell it what the triangles are. So we'll have 2 triangles for this mesh because it's a plane. And how it works is every 3 indexes describes 1 triangle. I'm doing pretty good. I'll make it the biggest. Well, I guess we can make it fill the whole screen up. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, let's just set this to 1, and then I can change how big it is using the scale on the game object. That's easier. Okay, so you have to do counterclockwise, so we should start there. So 0, 1, 2, and what's it? I guess it's 3, 1, 2. I'm drawing it out with my finger to see if that's right. Okay, it's actually 0, 2, 3 is the last one, I think. We can check that out later. And then we'll want to create a material. Oh, let me do that. I guess we'll actually want to use the sprite shader. So this will be the camera, or the render texture shader. And then we'll go ahead and have, well no, we can just use the actual material. Oh no, we will need to create one because we'll have to set the texture ourselves. So this will be the test shader, I guess is fine. Okay, so I guess I have to pass the shader right here. And then textures. Will be the camera's render texture. Can't get that? Oh, it's called target texture. And then we just need to set that into the renderer. Okay, so let's see if I set that up right. Okay, so I actually want sprites. We'll just go to default sprite. Okay, so it did show up here in the game, and it's just white. Okay, so it's white on all sides, but at least at least it's facing the right direction. Let's give it a name. Visualize cut out. And so game object transform. I guess it doesn't really matter, we can leave it how it is, but let's scale it up. And oh yeah, we'll also need to set the layer to visible. Oh right, it's integer. Yeah, you just call this layer mask name to layer to get the layer index from a name. And now it should show up in the main screen. Yeah, just a white square. So obviously something's not going right. Because here we still have the mask, so I wonder if it's the shader. So if I set, okay, let's just try it without the shader and see if that works fine. Okay, so I want to just render it. Because I could have definitely gotten this test code wrong. Looks like I did. So material, sprites default. Okay, it's not actually going to give me what texture is assigned, but we are assigned this light mask, so. Oh, we can actually see the value of the light mask here. Okay, so the render texture is being rendered to correctly, so it is something here on the test. Maybe it's because the sprite can't deal with the texture the way I set that up. So let's just do default. Where is it? Oh no, it doesn't even show up at all.
Round one, fight.
Mesh. Okay, so the mesh looks right. There's 4 verts, 2 tries. Alright, so let's see what happens if I just set no texture, then it should show up as magenta, I think. No. I wish it would tell me like what texture is assigned to this, but it only gives me the shader. Oh wait, what other thing? I wonder if it's because the renderer doesn't have a reference to the mesh. Pretty sure that I have to. Oh no, it just has the material. Yeah, I thought that it got it from the filter. Maybe I should use shared material. Okay, that's not helping. No, it is a visible layer, so the camera should be picking it up. Okay, so I wonder... We should test it just using some random texture, I guess. Oh, I don't put UVs. That's the problem. How could I forget that? So UV is just the coordinate that corresponds to each vertice on this in the texture. So here we just want it to be a rectangle. So the first vertex would just be the leftmost, which is 0 and UV space. So 0, 0 and 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. I think that's it. And you have to define these in the same order as the vertices. Okay, so that should be the problem. Oh. Okay, well that is disappointing. So let's try just assigning some random texture, I guess. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Private texture. Test texture. And so instead of getting the render texture from the... oh, I had this commented out. My brain is a little fried tonight, but let's go ahead and try this with the test texture anyway. Oh, but I need to set it, that would help. I think I can just use this white platform mask, that should be fine. And so there should be a white box in the middle of the screen. Okay, but everything's still not set up, apparently. Here. So I thought I was editing the shader myself to set the texture. Alright, so this is starting to get a little annoying. Alright, here, I'm trying to make I'm just going to make a material and set the albedo, which is a fancy word just for color. It already has this nice, I forget it has this checker pattern. Oh, but it has alpha, I don't want to do that. So instead of doing this, we'll just pass the material. And we'll make a copy of it, but copy that. Yeah, we'll just leave this out for now. Maybe the set texture doesn't work with surface shaders, I don't know. That seems to be the problem. Here, we'll test. Oh, I didn't set it. It still doesn't work. Okay, so if I flip this around. Okay, the triangles were reversed, it looks like. Because I can see it when I turn the game around. Oh, I should have tested that earlier. I have a tendency to do that. Okay, so I think I can flip them the right way just by moving... Oh wait, no, that one actually did it. So 0, 1, 2, and then so I need to go 2, 1, 0. I think, or is that just... I don't know. I always get confused with the clockwise, counterclockwise when it comes to triangles because I think I'm doing it the right way, but it turns out it's actually not. Okay, well there we go, we can finally see it. Okay, so now if I apply the render texture to it, is it going to show up? No. Still has albedo. It's such a default checkerboard. Did I accidentally do that? I wanted it to be platform mask. Okay, so now we can see... Oh, I bet it's because there's no lights. So that's why it's dark like that. That would make sense. So if I create a light, what will happen? Yeah, there we go. So that's fine, but I actually just want it to be unlit. So maybe it'll let me just set sprite. Okay, so it does show white now. Which I guess is a step up. So if I set the lantern... Oh, but the problem with the sprite shader is I can't set a specific texture. At least not here. Okay, here's unlit. We actually want unlit texture. Maybe this will work fine. Okay, well it is unlit, but it still just shows white. So let's just put it to this and see if for some reason the texture is not being copied over. Okay, that's interesting. So it seems like the texture is not being set. Maybe it's because I still left it. No, it should copy to the target texture. So obviously the problem is that the sunlight doesn't even use alpha. That's okay. Yeah, it has this cutout, which I think would have the alpha channel. Not that we actually need it for here, but... Okay, so now we can see it's not setting the texture right, so obviously something in this material set texture doesn't work. It's not doing anything. nothing's showing up. What in the world? Okay, so maybe I need to set main texture. Let's try that. Okay, maybe we're getting somewhere. Oh, yep. So this is our render texture from the other camera of this platform's mask, and if I move the mask around, you can see it also changes in the render texture. And in the editor screen, you can see that when I go off screen, it also goes off texture. Oh, yeah, well, you can't really see the border of the texture, but platform disappears. Okay, so now, yeah, we're actually drawing this from this camera and then putting it onto this texture right here. So now we need to apply that to the sprite as a mask. So that should be interesting. I also wanted to see how many draw calls. Oh, well, maybe it's because these sprites aren't in one atlas. Okay, let's move this out of here. So now if I pack all that stuff, okay, it still goes down to 4. I wonder if I turn this off. Okay, so drawing to that camera did create one more draw call, which I guess makes sense. Why are there still 2 batches? Huh, okay. I'm not really sure why there's still 2 batches there, but maybe something to do with the editor. Okay, obviously. Okay, so yeah, it was that will be interesting because that means that we'll have 1 draw batch per camera, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to do it this way, is because I was going to minimize switching draw batches, but I don't think. Let's think this through. So we have 1 draw batch to draw the mask, and then I guess we'll have another one also to draw the light. So I guess that's where we save draw calls, because we'd only have to have 1 call to draw all the lights, because all the masks will be on 1 texture. Yeah, so I think that will work fine. Okay, so what do we do next? Well, we gotta actually apply the mask to this light. Well, it should go underneath as well. Oop, I'm actually out of time though. Well, I hope we got a little farther today, but that's okay. We had some problems getting that rendering to work fine, but okay, so now at least we can see that we figured out how to render the platform mask onto another texture, and I guess tomorrow we'll use that to create a cutout for the sprite. or create a mask for this sprite so that it won't be drawn underneath the platform. So basically this hidden area, or invisible area right here, there should be no sprite drawn when we're done. And obviously I'll need to update in real time. So yeah, we'll still have a few challenges, and then after that we'll need to extend the platform to also cut off parts of the light that are blocked by the platform, so basically this section here. And then we'll need to combine multiple lights onto one texture so we can have a bunch of different masks for multiple lights. And then I'll finish off creating a simple physics for the player, so the player can actually be a light and we can test updating it in real time. And then maybe we'll make a game out of it, I don't know. We mostly just wanted to try out this, I guess, 2D lighting scheme and see how well it worked in Unity. So again, I got this idea from this great blog about a game called Celeste, so if you're interested, you should check it out, because I don't want to use their idea without at least giving a little credit. So you can go to celestegame.com. It actually looks pretty good. I don't know when it's supposed to come out, but I'm impressed with programming at least. But yeah, I guess that's probably it for me tonight. So thanks everybody for coming out and watching. If you missed part of this stream or any previous one, I do upload everything to YouTube, and you can get to my channel either on my description below the video or by typing !YouTube in chat. I also have a Discord server if you'd like to chat with me and other viewers. Right now it's pretty small, so I'd really love other people to join, so if you're interested you can find a link also below my video or typing !Discord in chat. And yeah, tomorrow I expect we'll still work on this a bit more, and maybe in a couple of days we'll return back to the Pokemon game and either do some modeling or, I don't know, work on better movement. And there's plenty of things to do there. That game I'll still be working on for months to come, so if you missed it, I just wanted a small break. And yeah, I guess that's it for me. Thanks again everybody for coming by and watching. I do appreciate it, and I hope you have a great night. Bye bye.